power of options explains the availability of a variety of family planning methods that an individual can pick from. Choosing a method that best suits you, choosing a method that you are comfortable with, choosing a method that is acceptable to you, considering a variety of situations like medical conditions and emphasizing also the fact that everyone can have a suitable contraceptive method, including the youths, the adolescents, the vulnerable group, including all women within the sexual reproductive age, and even men too, depending on our intentions. Okay, thank you very much. It is very right, and it is actually a right journey in the right direction. Why? Because if you are informed, if you are knowledgeable, if you have key information about an issue, you'll be able to package your life and ensure you don't make choices that will impact negatively on you. So having informing our youths, particularly this generation, about contraception will guide them to making positive choices. If I know, if I engage in unprotected sex, I might have a pregnancy I don't intend. I might have sexually transmitted infections like HIV and AIDS. Then the knowledge I know will guide me. And if I have the knowledge, if that information is from a right source, then definitely it will tailor me, it will guide me at ensuring that I don't make mistakes. It's been discovered that so many young ones die consequent of unprotected intercourse that will lead into unintended pregnancies, and automatically some of them will now want to go into procuring an abortion, and the consequences of an abortion could be so disastrous. So if I know I'm sexually active, then knowing my contraceptive options will guide me to ensuring that I will guide against an unintended pregnancy. And also, if I know the consequences of delaying a sexual relationship, then I will now delay to ensure I don't launch into having sexual relationship until I have maybe actually gotten a good education, until I'm actually skilled. I'm an independent now, even empowered, and financially, to raise a family. So these are, the advantages of ensuring that that this information about contraception gets to our youth, and we don't want them to start into receiving information from the wrong sources. The internet is everywhere, people, and you have so many wrong information you could actually take from their peers. But if they know what is right, then they will be able to ensure that the actions they take, they can, they have a justification, and they can actually, they are comfortable, with the consequences of these actions. So information is very important, and it's actually timely now that we ensure we expose them, to correct information and knowledge about contraceptives. This is very important. Parents have key role to play in the development of their wards. Your children are comfortable with you when you give them confidence, when you build confidence in them, when you talk to them right from a very young age. A girl knows what a girl does, a boy knows what boys do, and gender roles if you introduce to them gender roles, at a very early age, it automatically becomes, part of them. Letting your daughter knows puberty and what to expect at puberty, letting your son know what to expect at puberty, and how to build self-confidence, how to develop um, refusal skills, life. There are some skills you develop in your child that would assist the child, to actually grow up, to build up, self-confidence, and then to actually know the consequences of some things. Your child would rather want to trust you better than another relative. So if you build your confidence in your child by ensuring she discusses with you, and you tell her what and what to expect, particularly about sexual education, she will now see you as a role model. She will see you as somebody she could, resort to anytime there are issues. Even what her friends tell her at school or within the community, she will come back home to find out if, to correlate if, those facts, if they're actually true, or wrong. So this is why it is important to, for parents and guardians to actually ensure they are involved in the sexuality, education of their children. And you can even do this through a variety of methods. If you can post a question to your child, and she now responds back to you. So from her responses now, you'll be able to, start now to develop, the communication line, and then you'll be able to tease out information from her, and you'll now be able to actually, put in the correct, responses to these, questions that he or she, poses at you. So it is important that parents and guardians, actually have a role to play in the choices their words make about sexuality. Yes, I believe the country is in the right direction. We are evolving, and there are, we can actually observe a lot of developments, on this. We now have, even in schools, you have a curriculum that teaches the young ones about what to expect at puberty, and how to prevent unintended pregnancies, how to prevent sexually transmitted infections, and the consequences of this. And even awareness creation too in our faith-based organizations, churches. We find experts getting involved in disseminating information about contraception, contraceptives, and how, these young ones can actually, handle themselves. And even in higher institutions too, there are programs going on in tertiary, secondary, and tertiary institutions at ensuring that adequate information, is accessed by these young ones, to ensure that they don't actually fall out, and at the end of the day take, actions that they will regret later in life. You have flyers, you have jingles, you have playlists, you have, so many, package, so many things put together, to ensure the dissemination of information to these young ones. And there are projects actually going on. You have projects that, handle peer education, where you go to schools, to communities, and you build up, the capacity of a group of students, so that they can in turn reach out to their peers too, about sexual education, including contraceptives, and in the communities too. And some schools do have guidance and counselors, and you have some youth development projects, youth-friendly clinics in some secondary and tertiary institutions, where the young ones can walk into, have post-school, and clarify issues bothering them about, sexuality, about reproduction, about contraceptives. And you have trained counselors in these clinics who can actually, take these young ones through, all the questions, through issues, pertaining to contraceptive and sexuality. Realize the fact that our faith plays a significant role in the choices we make in life as individuals, and efforts efforts are in place, bringing in religious people, teaching them about, informing them, building their capacity so that they can go back now to their various faith-based places, maybe the mosque, the churches, to educate their wards on contraception, the benefits of contraception, and where their wards can actually access quality contraception. So Nigeria is actually doing a lot of this. From time to time, the government, developing partners, they bring implementing partners, they bring in religious leaders together, you know, informing them, educating them about availability of choices, and the consequences of having unintended pregnancies. And most of them are actually taking this up. They go to you find them in churches, you find them in mosques, you find them virtually everywhere. And there are actually some materials to developed and produced, that speaks into this issue about getting correct information about contraceptives and contraception. Open conversation is important, and this would allow virtually everyone to have an input into the conversation. Information is better disseminated wildly, particularly about sexuality, about contraceptives. When people have access to information, then they will be able to make correct and positive choices about their contraceptive needs. If you keep an information discreet, it will afford people, the opportunity to maybe sourcing out information from wrong sources, and this will have some negative, consequences. But if you make the conversation open, particularly to the youths, let's sing it in churches, let's discuss it in mosques, let's talk about it on television, on the social media, let's discuss it on the television. Let there be a variety of avenues to discuss information about sexuality and contraceptives. And then this will now enable everyone to have adequate knowledge about contraceptives, and this will now afford the individual the opportunity to ensure she or he picks a method that best suits his or her reproductive intentions. If there are policies that enhance better contraceptive uptake, the government has put in some policies to guide in the implementation and the delivery of family contraceptive services. For example, if somebody who is under 18 in Nigeria cannot have a contraceptive choice without the consent of the guardian or the parents. But if that individual is married, well, certainly she has the right to obtaining a method of her choice. So also there's a policy ensuring that contraceptive commodities are available at service delivery points, and the policy also ensures the availability of at least a trained provider, a trained quality provider to ensure the delivery of contraceptives to clients who come to source for this at their service delivery points. And there are policies that actually stipulate the right of an individual to contraceptives. There's a policy on ensuring that a client has quality contraceptive service anytime he or she visits a service delivery point. So these are policies that have been put in place. And there's actually a policy on capacity on ensuring availability of trained quality providers at all service delivery points. So these are policies put in place to ensure that we have seamless uptake of contraceptives by individuals who desire to have these services. Investing in family planning is key to achieving the sustainable development goals. If you have a family you desire, the number of children you can adequately cater for as a family, as a couple, this will the ripple effect of this is that there won't be overpopulation in the society. If there is no overpopulation, the resources will adequately go around everybody. It is when you have overpopulation, and then it is when there's overpopulation that you have negative effects on so many. Is it about education? Is it about healthcare services? Is it about sanitation? Is it about availability of water? Is it about empowerment? Is it about job? Is it about name it into anything? If a population is controlled, then definitely everybody will be better off for it. And if you take the 17 sustainable development goals, population control through family planning, adequately, settles virtually, all these issues. If you have a population you can control, then education will be better off for everybody. If you have a population you can control, health services will be at the beck and call of everyone. A population that you can control, people will have access, to good jobs and sustainable jobs. The poverty level will be so reduced or even totally eradicated. Communicable diseases will be well controlled. Is when you have overpopulation. A pregnancy you desire, a child you desire, you take a very good care of that child. You'll ensure the child receives immunization at the right time. You ensure the mother will ensure she breastfeeds, for a minimum of maybe at least over 1 year, and when you breastfeed for at least 1 whole year, that will build the immunity of that child, and that will handle the exposure of that child to to early childhood diseases and even mortality. So contraceptives will go a long way to ensuring that we mitigate the consequences of overpopulation and the effects of overpopulation on the totality of an individual, a family, the community, and the nation at large. My word to us all is to be advocates of family planning. Let's sing it in our churches. Let's discuss it in the mosques. Let's discuss it in the schools, in our institutions, in our communities, everywhere. Let everyone realize that there is a method that is available and is suitable for me. Let everyone knows that he or she can control her fertility and not your fertility, controlling you. And that once you're able to control your fertility, health-wise will be better off for it. Financial wise, will be better off for it. Educationally, will be better off for it, and it will be better off for it. The totality of your life.